Please have a seat. Have a seat. I understand you're very upset, but please have a seat. I will explain everything. Yes, I realize that my secretary called you, and there were a few things she mentioned in that telephone conversation that she should not have mentioned, but she did. So let me clear things up. Now, in order to explain the problem, as your attorney representing you in family court, we're going to have to start from the beginning. Now, you work at a very large, very prestigious, very profitable corporate company, and yeah, very religious. Your husband is a cook in the army. The two of you met through a mutual friend, fell in love, got married, and after 2 or 3 years, right around there, your husband noticed you weren't getting pregnant, and he became concerned because he wanted children. And then things got a little worse. Your husband got called up, and he got deployed. He was gone for over a year. I know it was a hardship on both you and him. While he was gone, you telephoned him on a regular basis. And then, well, before he left, the night before he left, you slept with him. And several weeks later, you contacted him using a satellite phone, spoke with him where he was stationed, and you told him that you were pregnant. Must have gotten pregnant on that last night. And you even held up the home pregnancy test to the screen so your husband could see it. You know, video conferencing, satellite navigation. I'm not good with technology, but it was a video conference call between the two of you, right? Okay. We've got that established. So that's what took place. And, well, let me just get that out of the way. So that's what took place. And, well, I mean, he was excited. And when his deployment was over and he came home, there you were standing by the door with a baby boy in your arms. And your husband was so happy. And, well, listen, I'm your attorney, so we can be frank with each other. You've already told me this, but I need to go over it again. So your husband came home. He was very happy to be home. He came home to an instant family, you and his baby boy, and he was so excited. And of course, he didn't argue with you because the timeline made sense. You slept with him the night before he was to be deployed overseas. And he was gone for about a year and 6 months. And so when he came back, well, the timeline worked out. It's not as though you were cheating on him, but yeah, he cheated on you, didn't he? Thing is, he didn't realize he was cheating on you. You set him up with your identical twin sister because you found out earlier from a doctor's appointment that you didn't tell your husband about that you were the one who couldn't get pregnant. You didn't tell him that. Yeah. Well, I guess identical sisters or identical twins aren't 100% identical. Not on the inside, anyway. You can't give birth. It's literally impossible. Your sister, though, well, your sister already had 3 kids. So, on that last night, being desperate not to lose your loving, caring husband, you asked your sister for a huge favor. The lights were turned down low. She was wearing a sexy, skimpy outfit. And, well, she has your voice, not quite your personality, but more importantly, she has your body. You convinced her to sleep with your husband on that last day. And according to your sister, she was definitely ovulating, and she was the one who got pregnant. And that home pregnancy test that you held up to the screen for your husband to take a look at, that wasn't your home pregnancy test, that was hers. And then, well, it was easy for you to fake being pregnant. After all, every time you spoke to your husband on that video conference thingamajig, it was always from the chest up. He never saw your stomach, your flat stomach. And you patted your bra to make it look as though you were pregnant and getting bigger up there. No, hold on. I know this is upsetting, but you need to hear this. So your husband comes home, your sister, your identical twin sister, gave birth, and she's like, here you go, you owe me a huge favor. Gave you the baby boy. Only thing was, she wanted to name him. So she did. You pretended you named him, your husband came home, he wasn't too happy about the name, but you told him, hey, I'm sorry, I gave birth, you weren't there, I don't blame you, you were deployed. I had to put some sort of name on the birth certificate. And yeah. You put the name that your sister picked out. And everything seemed to be fine. And then the two of you had that argument, so you told him, hey, if you don't believe me, you want a paternity test, well, go ahead. And of course, because he fathered the baby, it came back as his. But there was a little problem with the paternity test, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Your identical twin sister provided her genetic material for the test. Your husband thinking it was her. Well, no, your husband thinking it was you. Yeah. He went there, he gave his genetic material, and then he got a little frisky with your sister in the car, thinking it was you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She didn't like that. She slapped him and told him she was going to her mother's. Instead, she just went home to her husband, and then you had to deal with a very awkward situation that turned into a fight. And even though obviously your husband was the father of the baby, your husband noticed something, didn't he? Yeah. He noticed that you didn't have any stretch marks. Oh, your sister did. But as far as he knew, she had only 3 children, not 4. She had stretch marks. You had none. Absolutely none. And that's when your husband became suspicious. I mean, eventually, the truth came out, especially when your twin sister's husband ended up having an affair, and he decided he was done. He divorced her, and, well, he obviously knew, so he let it slip what really happened. Listen, your husband feels betrayed, he feels angry, he feels as though you tricked him, and he is disgusted by the fact that he technically committed adultery. Oh, sorry about that. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, what can I say? My office is in a very old building. The lights sometimes cut out, but the generator takes care of it. Yes. Getting back to the important part, your husband found out, and he was angry. Now, unfortunately, your sister ended up in a horrific car accident, and she passed away. First of all, I'm very sorry about that. But because of that, we have a huge problem. Well, I won't lie, you have a huge problem. How can I explain it? Back in the 1990s, it was trendy for young men to step up and take care of children that weren't theirs. They would get into a relationship with a young woman who had a child, and they would say, hey, I want an instant family. I'll take care of you. I'll look after you and your child. I'll be the child's father. And this was very trendy back in the 1990s. All these young men would step up and take care of another man's responsibility. Now, as noble as that was, the problem was that years later, some of these women would get a divorce. And these men who thought that they had rights as fathers, well, they found out they didn't. Not at all. The court, the law, does not recognize them as fathers. I mean, yes, a lot of judges would say, well, you were in this child's life for years. You spent a great deal of money taking care of this child. You helped raise this child. But I'm sorry, you have no legal rights to this child. You are not the biological parent. As far as the law is concerned, you are nothing to this child. Oh, you don't like where I'm going with this? Well, you're gonna absolutely hate what's coming up next. So these women who were the biological parent of the child, they just took the child and left. And they had every legal right to do so. Now, the smart young men who stepped up insisted on adoption papers being filled out. Most did not. Nowadays, in this day and age, all those young men in the 1990s who stepped up are thought of as fools and clowns, wasted all that money, worked so hard to raise another man's child, a child they had no legal right to. Look, I'm just going to be blunt with you. You are in the same boat as those young men who stepped up. Because here's the problem. Yes, your ex-husband is the biological father of that baby boy. You, legally speaking, are not the mother. Your sister, who passed away, unfortunately, she is legally the other parent. She is thought of as the mother, and she's gone now. Your husband, ex-husband, he wants full custody. And I'll tell you something. Because of the rare circumstances of this case, he's going to get it. Now, I've been doing this a long time. Courts, judges, even if the judges are men, they don't like awarding full custody to biological fathers, even in this day and age. If anyone gets full custody, 99.9% of the time, it's the mother. The problem is, legally speaking, the court does not recognize you as that child's mother, even though you took care of that child for a couple of years. No, not you. Your dead twin sister. Yes. At best, the court will see you as an aunt. An aunt. That's it. Your husband will fight for full legal custody. And I'm sorry. Since he is the biological father, he's going to get it. He is going to get full custody because he's the only biological parent left. Your twin sister is legally seen as the mother, and she died Your parents? Honestly, your parents are too elderly to file for custody. Look, my secretary was wrong for speaking to you in a detailed manner before I had a chance to speak with you. She was wrong, but she told you the truth. You don't have a leg to stand on, just like those young men in the 1990s who stepped up and took care of a child that wasn't theirs and then found out they had no legal rights. I'm sorry, but the same situation is happening with you based on these odd circumstances. Legally speaking, you are at best this child's aunt, not his mother. Your husband, ex-husband, he's going to fight for sole custody and he's going to get it because he's the only surviving parent under the eyes of the law. I'm sorry. That's what's going to happen. Hold on a sec. I'll get you a box of tissues.